In this video, I'm going to be talking to the newer person that is just getting started trading, or also just the individual that has been trading for a little bit and is struggling to pass a funded account, get funded, and then obviously hold on to and grow that funded account once they get to that phase so they can actually take a payout. I started trading right around 6-7 years ago, and I didn't really get introduced to the prop firm era until a couple years into my trading journey. When I got started, it was mainly all personal accounts, live brokerages where you'd put your own money in. So for me, when I was going through the learning process of what kind of trader I was going to be, what strategy I was going to use, instead of blowing money on challenges and combines, I was the guy that was putting money into personal brokerage accounts and just trading on personal funds for probably my first 5-ish years of trading. And then eventually, especially fast forward to now, it seems like this is the route that most people go, right? People take advantage of the opportunity to fix their main issue as a trader, which is that they're undercapitalized. There's a lot of people that do feel like they have an edge and can even prove that they have an edge in the market. They just don't really have the capital and the buying power to be able to do a whole lot with. So I totally understand the upside of being able to use a prop firm, which is why this is the route that most people go. And I by no means am going to sit here and tell you that I'm like the best prop firm trader or anything like that. I would even tell you that my results would not indicate that compared to some of these numbers that you see on social media these days. You just see some crazy, almost unbelievable numbers that some people are able to pull out from these prop firms and the success that some people are able to have. I think it just shows the upside that prop firms offer to the trading community, but it also comes with a little bit of skin in the game because you still have to obviously take the evaluations, pay to activate the funded accounts, and then you have to be good enough to actually get to a payout. Otherwise, you're still not going to be profitable, over time. And I got to be honest, when I first started prop trading, I really thought that it would be a breeze, and I thought that because I've had some level of success in personal funds on live accounts, I thought that that would just immediately translate into prop funding company accounts. And that just really wasn't the case, just simply because you have to be a lot more disciplined. You have to be really dialed in with your risk management. You can't just be willy-nilly going off the rails all the time because you don't really have the room to do that. On a personal account, right, if you were to make 3%, and then, lose that 3%, well, now you're just at break even, versus on a prop firm account, that's equivalent to blowing your combine, blowing your evaluation. Then you got to start back over. So it's the exact same as blowing your trading account. And that's kind of the main difference, is it forces you to really pay attention to detail and really be disciplined with every facet of your trading. And that is the price that you pay to have the upside potential that a prop firm can give you once you have the buying power, of a $50,000 account, $100,000 account, so on and so forth. And as somebody that struggled initially with prop firms, and now having been able to get funded multiple times and also reach a payout multiple times, I do believe that I have some level of wisdom that I can share with you as far as how to get across that point in your trading, at least for somebody that's struggling to get to the funded phase and maintain any sort of consistency. Now, maybe I'm not the guy to tell you how to go make $50,000 in payouts in a month or $100,000 in payouts in a month. That is a whole nother rant that I can maybe get into towards the end of this video. But what I can do is tell you what has helped me and what has helped me see success and be more sustainable day to day in my trading. And there's really 3 main tips that I'm going to give you guys as far as, what has actually helped me and that I think will help you if you focus on them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. And tip number 1 is going to be make room for your losses, or just making room for a losing streak in general. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people have is this almost euphoric feeling in trading that whenever you come off of, a winning week, or even sometimes just a winning day for some people, right? You can almost sometimes not fight that urge to think that, you've got it figured out, you've cracked the code, you're never going to have a losing streak ever again. And you kind of almost convince yourself that, losses aren't going to happen once you get into a eval phase, and that everything's just going to be hunky-dory and it's just going to be sunshine and rainbows. And that's just not the case, guys. I think the biggest problem that a lot of traders have is with their risk management. They don't actually make room for a losing streak. If you don't have room for losses in your trading plan, you're really never going to get ahead. For example's sake, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Top Step. It's the only prop firm that I use. and it's the only prop firm that I would ever suggest anybody else use. I think there's a lot of weird shadiness that can go on in the trading space. So this is the only prop firm that gets my stamp of approval in my endorsement, but at the end of the day, you guys can use whatever firm you guys want to use. So for example's sake of this video, I'm going to be talking mainly about the 150K account and the 50K account. Now, if you want to use the 100K account, just apply this math to that if you want, but these are going to be the two main ones that I'm going to focus on for right now. So when it comes to your risk management for these prop firm accounts, you cannot be fooled by the buying power that you see up here in these big numbers, right? Just because it says 50K, 100K, or 150K does not mean that is the actual account size or buying power of that account. So technically, your actual buying power and your actual account size is going to be your max loss limit for whatever size account that you use. And the reason being is just because, well, if you lose more than that amount, then you've blown the combine, you've blown the challenge, and you've got to start over. So when it comes to your risk management, and I'm talking about making room for your losses, making room for a losing streak, it really kind of just boils down to how much are you risking per trade and how many trades can you lose before that account size is gone. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that you need to risk a certain dollar amount per trade. Everybody's risk tolerance is different, and there's no cookie cutter answer to do this. But what I can tell you is this is what I've used to pass multiple funded accounts. And this is what has worked for me to kind of find that balance of obviously making progress on my green days, but also giving myself that little bit of wiggle room to go through some losses. And for me, that magic amount is 0.5% per trade. And again, this does not have to be something that you just automatically go to all the time and then you only ever risk 0.5%. You never risk any less or any more. I'm not saying that at all. This is just kind of the baseline that I found that was the most helpful for me with the funded accounts that I've passed. So just to put that into perspective, that means that 0.5% risk of 150K account, and that's what the percentage I'm going off of, that'd be equivalent to risking $750 per trade. And if I risk $750 per trade on a 150K combine account, well, that means that I can lose 6 trades in a row before that account is blown. And again, if you want to trade with more size than this, that's fine. You can do that. You just have to understand you don't have as much wiggle room to lose as many trades in a row before that account is blown. And if you're okay with that, then by all means, do what you got to do. But if you're somebody that wants to even have more wiggle room than that, right? Maybe you want to be able to lose 10 trades in a row. If you wanted to be able to lose 10 trades in a row, well, really easy. You just take $4,500 and divide that by 10, and that's going to give you $450 of risk per trade. So that's my first and biggest tip, is just make sure that you give yourself room to have some losses, right? I don't care what strategy or what philosophy you use with trading. Every single philosophy, every single strategy with trading will have some losses, right? Some days are just not probable for your strategy. And now the only other reason that you would maybe use the smaller account sizes over the larger account sizes is because you actually will have a little bit more wiggle room in order to actually take those losses compared to the 100K or the 150K combine accounts. So if we use that same math, right? Let's say you were going to risk 0.5% per trade on average for your trades. 0.5% of $2,000 is $250 of risk per trade. So that would be 0.5% risk on a 50K account, right? And in the 150K account example, if you were risking 0.5% per trade, $750, you have 6 losses in a row before that account is blown. And that same exact risk used on a 50K account, you would need to lose 8 times in a row before that account was blown. And the reason for that, guys, is because your max loss on the 50K account is a 4% drawdown before the account is blown, versus the 100K and the 150K, you have a 3% drawdown before they're blown. But either way, you have the same 6% profit target across the board. So it really just kind of depends on, you know, what you're comfortable with and what size account you want. But just know that the 50K account, if you're using the same risk management parameters, right, that 0.5% risk or so per trade, you're going to be able to lose a little bit more and have a little bit more wiggle room, which is really just the main difference. Now, guys, for tip number 2 is use tick value and not money. So what I'm talking about is when you're actually in an open position, whether it be on TopStepX, on Tradeovate, on TradingView, don't use the actual profit amount to view your trade, right? Use the tick value. And the reason that I say that is because it is so easy for us as human beings to get emotional about a dollar amount. Now, that might sound silly, and you might sit there and tell yourself, oh, that's not me. I'm a big macho guy, right? Don't let your ego get involved in this, because the reality is when money is involved in anything, we become emotional as humans. And obviously, most of you watching this, I'm assuming, are not trust fund babies, and you don't have just millions and gajillion dollars just waiting for you in a trust fund somewhere. If you did, you probably wouldn't be day trading. So the reality is, when you see a dollar amount on your screen, even if it's demo, even if it's a combine account, it really doesn't matter, because it's going to subconsciously trigger you in some way, shape, or form. You're going to be thinking about, oh, $500 is a lot of money, $200 is a lot of money, $1,000 is a lot of money. That's my rent, that's my car payment, that's my grocery bill, that's whatever it might be. And there's a lot of truth and significance behind that, guys, right? They talk about, even when it comes to your candlestick chart, and how the top traders will urge people to not use red or green candles, because just the colors red and green psychologically create an emotion within us at a subconscious level. And the same can be said with the dollar amount. For most of you guys watching this, a couple $1,000s, a few $1,000s, like that might not be a life-changing amount of money for you, but that's still a lot of money for most people. And that's money that it's going to make you emotional, regardless of no matter how big of a macho man you think you are. So in order for you to not get emotional during your trade, whether it be in drawdown or whether it's in profit and you're holding for your target, you want to do things that are conducive with you building good habits as a trader, and not making decisions based off of your P&L is a great way to follow your trading plan and to let your trades complete to their target. They help you not take trades off early when you're in profit, and they also help you, trust your analysis and trust your trade setup, even if you happen to be just kind of hovering at your entry or hovering a little bit in drawdown. It just allows you to be more consistent as a trader and not let that P&L number get in the way of you making, the right decision. What's up, guys? Really quick, I just wanted to interject and actually show you guys how to change the position value from profits to ticks. So if you guys are using Top Step X, I'm going to show you guys this on TradingView as well, so don't worry. But if you're looking at Top Step X and you go over here to settings, so what you're going to want to do is go over here to where it says charts and data, and underneath charts and data, you are going to see right here where it says chart value display type. Really simple. Just come here and change it to ticks and then click save. And now everything will be shown to you when it comes to ticks during your trade. And when it comes to TradingView, all you're going to do is just right click, go down to your settings, and you're going to go to trading. And then underneath where it says appearance, where it says positions, profit and loss, change this from money to ticks. And last but not least, boys, tip number 3, and I cannot stress this one enough. So I'm going to take my time writing this out in terrible handwriting to tell you that you need to take your time when it comes to passing these combines, guys. So my first past funded account on Top Step took me right around 3 months to actually get funded. So when I first tried getting funded with Top Step, like I told you guys before, I had come from just trading only live accounts, personal accounts with no rules, no anything like that. So I already had a pretty good risk management system in place. I was already used to, not risking a shit ton of money per trade. I, was very risk averse. Some people would even say that I was a little bit too conservative with the combine accounts that I started with. And I see what they were saying now. But, when I first got started, my first combine, I actually failed it. Not because I full ported it, not because I was trying to speed run it or anything like that. I actually failed it because I had made 3% on the account, and this took me like a month. I made 3%, and then I lost that 3%, and I got back to my original balance, and then I failed the account because of the trailing drawdown rule. So that was how I actually ended up failing that account initially. From that point, I took 2 months to just take my time, do it right, and ultimately ended up passing in 2 months. There was definitely plenty of losing streaks inside of that 2 month span, which is why it took me as long as it did. It's not like I just started and all of a sudden I just had a crazy winning streak and never lost, and that's how I passed so fast, right? It was not like that at all. And again, I was going very conservative, and I did it by not risking more than 0.5% per trade. If anything, I was risking less than that per trade. So I could have even more wiggle room. And the beautiful part about it is once I actually got it funded, within like 2 weeks, that account was up like almost $6,000 in profit. And all I was doing was what I did to get me there, right? I just happened to be consistent with that long enough that by the time I was in my funded account, I did hit a couple weeks in a row where I had really nothing but wins. And I was able to filter out a lot of unnecessary losses. And I was able to stack some really good wins without over leveraging, without doing anything crazy like that, and was able to get a nice, buffer on the account and get in some nice profit, and was able to take my first payout, get my refund for the combine. And then essentially from that point, the account was risk-free. So I really can't stress this to you guys enough. Just take your time. You do not need to be in a rush. I mean, I get it. When you look at people on social media and you see these people like speed running all these crazy accounts all the time, and then when they're just really pushing it in their funded account and getting these really big payouts, listen, that's cool. That's awesome. If people can do that consistently and be profitable, whatever, like all the power to them. But what I can tell you guys is if you're somebody that is still trying to get funded, right, and still trying to kind of get over that hump, so to speak, and get enough payouts to just be back in green for a calendar year or something like that. Well, in order to do that, you need to stop trying to be like the people that you're seeing on social media doing that, because keep this in mind as well. All these people that are doing these crazy numbers and really pushing it on these combine accounts and blowing combine accounts left and right until they get into a funded account, and then really pushing the funded account hard to get to a really big payout as fast as possible. You got to understand that most of these people, they are benefiting from the views, they're benefiting from the clicks, and a lot of them are affiliated with these firms, and they're getting paid from these firms, and they get paid when you blow your account. Why? Because you got to go pay for a reset and or buy a new combine. So it is not in your best interest to try to be like them, because you're going to be turning and burning through a lot of unnecessary resets and failed combines. And from where I sit, I would rather anytime you're buying a new combine, I would rather it be because you're paying for another one to try to acquire more funded capital, more funded accounts, versus you trying to be the next big shot on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, posting about how you passed your funded account in record time. Maybe there's a time and a place for that for you, but I'm promising you that is not where you're going to start. That is not going to be your entry to success in trading, is by just speed running everything. You got to take your time. You got to put the habits in place so that you can sustain something a little bit longer term, right? Get to a point where you're taking payouts. You're not blowing up a funded account the moment you get into it. You're able to feel confident anytime you want to get a new funded account. You feel confident that you can pass it because you know what you're doing and that you have the discipline in place to be able to do that, guys. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. Again, just to recap, number one, make room for your losses. Make room for any losing streaks that could come your way, because they happen to every single trader. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how you trade. Losing streaks are going to happen. Number two, use tick value and not dollar amount value for your trading process. And numero tres, guys, take your time. Do not be in a rush. Nobody's going to pay you anything extra because you passed a combine faster. Nobody's going to add any extra money to your payout because you got the payout in record time or anything like that. With some things in life, you need to slow down in order to speed up. And trading is definitely one of those things. The faster that you go, the faster that you try to push it and force things, the more you're going to lose, the more you're going to set yourself back. So take your time. The time's going to pass anyway. You might as well do it right, so that way you can get to profit faster and stay there longer. And as always, guys, if you want to grab a combine with Top Step, I have a 20% discount link in the description of the video. If you click the link and click accept cookies, guys, it'll automatically apply the discount at checkout for your first month using Top Step. If you're somebody that has some good tips to pass on to other people that are struggling getting funded, feel free to drop those down in the comment section below. And if you are somebody that is struggling, hopefully this video can bring you some answers and help you actually get to that point where you can get funded, get to a payout, and get your journey on the right track. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.